clear about working with individuals with autism is it's about people having levels of awareness based on what they are, what the work they're doing. So, for example, if we're looking across schools or social care settings, then in terms of an inclusive agenda, we would hope that everybody there will be able to work with individuals who've got autism and to use the adaptations as you would for anybody who had an additional need to enable them to access those services. And that would be across a broad number of services. In terms of individuals with autism who might have additional needs, so they might have mental health needs as well, there may be a need to have people with more specialist skills, but what we would want is kind of a mix of both, is that actually everyone should be enabled and upskilled to be able to work with people with autism in their own context, but for where there are more specialist needs, then that additional training would be required.
And we're very keen to not medicalise, I guess, and attach that diagnosis in a way that means that people are kind of alienated or not able to access services that any of us are able to access. So there's a very real risk, and I think it's probably the risk of transforming care. We're quite aware that by highlighting a group of people, you're also sort of making that group stand out, and there is a risk that people start to think that they haven't got the skills to look after somebody, even though people have been being looked after in mental health services for a really long time. So there is definitely something about the coexistence of mental illness and autism and the relationship between those two things. We know that people are predisposed to mental ill health if they have autism, particularly high levels of anxiety, difficulties coping with everyday life. And so we know that there is a predisposition there. But it's then very much about what we're going to do about it. And it's also, we're not talking about, there's just many people with autism who aren't requiring services. So we're very concerned to not sort of start thinking about services for people with autism, but acknowledging that people are trying to live happy lives. And so some of the support needs to be sitting out in employment and sitting out in the housing arena, or supporting people in the same way as we would expect to be supported. But that's all about upskilling and ensuring that people know enough to be able to make reasonable adjustments. So that's what we feel, not that you need to be a super specialist person to do it, but that there is a generally increasing understanding of what it means to adapt and personalise the kind of care and support we offer people. And I don't just think it counts for people with autism. We're needing to do that for a lot of vulnerable, a lot of people with different issues. We're needing to be much more person-centred.